Okay, it's time to talk about best value Nikon DSLRs, and this changes basically twice a year. And right now is a point at which has changed, and it'll likely change again come August or September when the Nikon D850 or D820, whatever it is they're going to call it, comes out. I have 6 cameras here, well 5, but the 750, the Nikon D750 that I'm filming my ugly face on right now. Kind of is the case that you got like a frat party and like a big fat girl enters the room, like everybody has to shift to make way for the fat chick as she enters the party. This is what's happened with the Nikon D500 now that it's been released. This is not a video about the Nikon D500, but it's also a video about every camera, where it sits currently, best value, and what you should hold out on based upon I know absolute certainty what's going to happen. As far as the specifications in the 850, I've got some good ideas, but I also know exactly what's going to happen. As far as what's going to shift and what's going to look like what, you know, you're at a I don't know, bar. Not that I ever go to bars, and you know, you're half drunk, and not that this has ever happened to me, I can assure you. You know, you got an ugly chick and she looks halfway decent, and then 2 pretty girls come up beside her, and then she looks really ugly, and then you change your mind. Contrast gives light to everything. I think there's an ancient saying, and it doesn't belong to the Greeks. I believe it belongs to the Indians in the ancient Devanagari, that says that that which sheds light upon the quality of something is of 2 varieties. One is light, obviously to see something by, and another one is contrast. It's kind of like a person that lives in prison. You know, they kind of think that the hot dogs they have every Thursday is just awesome until they get released, and then they realize they were eating gross prison food. And when the D850 comes out, either it's going to be announced in August or September. You know, the D750 is going to look like hammered poo. I mean, it's just going to look like she's going to be the ugly chick that is all of a sudden surrounded by really hot chicks, and she's going to be, like extra ugly. The D750 is going to drop like a stone. Not only has the D750, I was never a hardcore fan of the D750. It's kind of like a Swiss Army knife as far as a camera. Now, the Swiss Army knife analogy does not apply to cameras in a good way. It does to lenses, but not to cameras. You can kind of have something that is a jack of all trades, but it's a master of nothing. You know, when it comes to lenses and you're traveling, I've talked about like the 60mm 2.8D autofocus, which is a macro lens, and it's a normal lens and a portrait lens. It's kind of good at everything. You want to pack one lens around, it's just awesome. The Swiss Army knife cameras, not the best thing in the world. Now, currently it is the case that a gray market D810, which is just incredible, my favorite DSLR of all time, for portraiture and landscape, is the exact same price as the USA model Nikon D750. You can get a gray market D750 for about $1,600, but you never want to buy a gray market D750. Why is that? Because basically 85% of the gray market D750s are coming out of England and Europe, and what they are is unfixed. Okay, let me repeat that. They are unfixed autofocus sensor bay issue D750. See, the D750s had 3 recalls, and what they are is they're unfixed issue number 1s. So while it will work perfectly, it still has the flare issue, and it's unfixed. You never want to buy a gray market D750. Never. And right now, I would not tell anybody, for any reason, and I never say this, that regardless of what it is you shoot, sports, action, wildlife, portraiture, blah, 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 I would not recommend anybody right now buy a D750. Period. Flat out, no way. Why is that? 3 reasons why you should not even think about buying a D750, whether it's new or gray market. You never want to buy a gray market D750 because of the reason I just mentioned. Because, number 1, here in a few months, the Nikon D850 is going to be announced, and then the price on the D750 is going to plummet, and it's going to look like hammered poo as far as its abilities compared to the D850. The D850 obviously is going to be expensive. It's probably going to be a $3,000, $3,200 camera. No big deal. It was a big deal to a lot of people, but the price is going to drop on the D750 because it's going to become the ugly stepchild that nobody wants. And used prices are going to be down in the gutter. Reason number 2 is that for $2,000, since you never want to buy a gray market D750, you can either have a Nikon D810, which is king of portraiture and landscape. You know, there's no arguing this fact. All the Nikon DSLRs, it's D850, it's got no AA filter, it's 36 megapixels. For portraiture and landscape, the D810 is tits, period. It's unmatched. You know, it blows the D750 away. You want to crop on portraiture, which is really important, you know, forget about it on the D750. I mean, not that D750 is bad for that, but D810 will smoke it all day long. D500, which just came out, and by the way, I've got another D500 that I'm picking up on Tuesday. Oh my God, yes. The D500 is incredible. Sports, action, wildlife, birds in flight, low light autofocus. See, there's two different things that people don't address. People say, well, how isn't low light? How is it in high ISO low light? Well, that's all fine, but if the camera can't autofocus on it, then, you know, that's a problem. It is as an absolute fact, even Nikon will tell you that the low light autofocus acquisition on the D750 is -3 EV. And then on the D500, it is -4 EV. I actually know that it's actually a little bit better than that, because the low light autofocus acquisition on the D500 is just stunning. It's jaw-dropping. It's just hot as hell awesome. It's the tits. So these are the three reasons why I cannot recommend a D750 right now, regardless of what the hell you shoot, because the gray market is a no-go. All of those are unresolved D750s that had recall number 1, autofocus sensor bay flare issues. Would not even think about buying one. They're unfixed D750s from the European market that have come over to America. This is a fact. You can research it if you want. Point number 2, D750 is jack of all trades, but it's king of nothing. Okay? Jack of all trades and king of nothing. You also have no idea whether you've got a refurb D750 or not. My D750 technically is under recall. I should have sent it back already. But, you know, D810, $2,000 gray market. D810's got no issues. Buying a gray market D810 is not an issue. D810 is freaking incredible. I got no problems buying a D. I don't need another D810. I got 2 of them already. D810's incredible. Gray market to $2,000, exact same price as a D750, and it'll smoke it in landscape all day long. And landscape's got no AA filter. It's 36 megapixels. Smoke it in portraiture, smoke it in landscape. D500 is king of everything else. Low light acquisition, sports, wildlife, action, birds in flight, period. So where do the other cameras fall? D7100, right now, top value. Is it still a top value? It still is, because you're talking about $480 like on a refurb Nikon D7. That camera is incredible. I can't even think of how many thousands of people bought a D7, and it's still, you know, a top. I mean, you're talking 2,000. It was a D500 better. It's also a DX crop. So yeah, we're talking about $500 versus $2,000 here, for God's sakes. That'll buy a vertical grip and a lot of lenses on a D7100. Nikon D3. Oh my God, what an old camera. Nobody, Canon, Sony, Fuji, nobody has made a camera this tough. This is the only thing that's ever come close to a mil-spec camera. I mean, this is the camera that will just keep going and going and going. Yeah, it's a 12 megapixel camera. The D3 is just a tank. It is the Rock of Gibraltar. It is incredible. For $1,000, I love it. I got more than one Nikon D3. The camera is incredible. It's incredible. 20 by 30 print from 2008 is no different than a 20 by 30 print in 2016. There's nothing wrong with having a Nikon D3. My D3 is going to go nowhere. Nikon nor anybody is ever, it would cost a fortune. It's never going to happen again. Nikon nor anybody is going to make a camera this good, this tough, this well built, made in Japan again. It's never going to happen again. It's like it happened once and it ain't going to happen again. This tough of a camera, this well made, is not coming down the pike anytime ever again in the future, period. Never was, will be again. Yeah, I know that was bad English. I kind of made my point, however. Nikon D700, it's a little brother of the Nikon D3, perfect for general purpose, also 12 megapixel, also made in Japan, also incredible. $700-800, the camera is incredible. D700, my D700 is not going anywhere. Like I said, now we got a new fat girl in the room. Not to make a direct analogy, yeah, the D500 is not a skinny or a lightweight camera. You know, even though it's a DX crop sensor camera, it's a big ass camera. It's actually technically bigger than the D750 is. It's incredible. It's stunning. I mean, I've made so many videos recently about the D500. People are threatening my life, literally, although humorously. Like, you know, stop making videos about the D500, damn it. Well, you know, people wanted me to do it, so I'm doing it, so don't complain about it. But, you know, the D500 reviews are over with because I've done so many. The D500 is just friggin' incredible. Everybody that thinks about buying one, it's like $2,000, give me a break. It's a DX crop sensor. And when they get in their hands, like, oh my God, this camera is underpriced. It is. It's underpriced. I'm not the first person to say. There have been a lot of people say that. A lot. The D500 is that much better. So these two are the kings in Nikon's arena. Now, if money were no object, and for example, just as a side note here, and I were shooting the Olympics, which of course I'm not, and I had the choice of having a D500 or a D5, I would actually pick the D500. It would be a better camera at the Olympics. See, Nikon rushed the D5 out to meet the Olympics in Brazil. You know what you get for $6,500? You get a camera that has an AA filter that looks worse than 100% magnification than the D500. Does not autofocus any quicker than the Nikon D500 does. They've both got the exact same autofocus sensor bay. The D500 is actually a better sports action camera than the Nikon D5 is. Now the Nikon D5 does have better ultra insanely low, extreme low light performance on the output. Now, I mean, we're not talking about like a basketball arena or something like that, which is low light to begin with. I'm talking about really, really stupid low light. And to me, that is not worth $4,500 more. But if you're doing this as a business, you know, that you can write that crap off on your taxes. But it's still an inferior camera. I would not pick the D5. Period. Even if it costs the same money as the Nikon D500, would not pick the Nikon D5. This does not have an AA filter. This is actually faster in autofocus. Other people have reported the dynamic range is better on the Nikon D500 than it is on the Nikon D5. That's a fact. It is. The dynamic range is better. The only thing the Nikon D5 has over the Nikon D500 is much better signal processing in camera. I can still do the same thing in Lightroom and software or Denoise Project's signal processing software for removing noise, so I can do that on the computer instead of in the camera that the D5 does over the D500. Anyway, so that's the wrap up on a top recommended Nikon DSLR. Everything shifts twice a year. There's a new kitty that enters the room, and everything shifts around and things change. And right now I've given you the logical reasoning why I cannot under any circumstances recommend the Nikon D750, because gray market is no way in hell, because of the reasons I told you. Because these are kings of every arena. What the Nikon D500 is not king of, the Nikon D810 is. All three of these cameras, the D750 I'm filming this on, the D800, and the D500 are the exact same price. Gray market $2,000. USA market $2,000. You would never want to buy a gray market D750, so USA market $2,000 on the D750. So there's no way in hell I would recommend the D750 for purchase for anybody, regardless of what the hell they shoot now, period. In addition to the fact that in a few months from now, the D850 is going to be announced. When the D850, or whatever they're going to call it, comes out, it'll make the D750 look like hammered poo. Period. I don't have to, you know, guess on this. I don't have to rub a crystal ball or consult tarot card. I'm flat out 100% right, and that's exactly what's going to happen. The D750 will look like hammered poo when the D850 comes out, and the price is going to plummet. The D750 is just going to look like the really ugly stepchild. So that's it. Let me know if you have any questions, and this is where things are now. So the D810 is absolute king of portraiture and landscape. D500 is king of everything else: sports, action, wildlife, low light acquisition, autofocus. Period. Even Nikon will tell you that. There's a difference between low light performance and low light autofocus performance. Okay, those are two totally different things. Low light performance and low light autofocus performance. You know, you could have a camera that does slightly better in low light, but if it can't autofocus on what the hell it is you're trying to shoot, then you've really not accomplished anything, have you? And this is where the Nikon D500 is far superior. I've proven that in videos. Other people, Nikon says it. -4 EV autofocus. Okay? Thanks for watching. I'll catch you later. Bye.